Welcome back to the Milwaukee Show, and today we're talking about the first round of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, and the first matchup that was locked in place, and now it's time to discuss as we are only 4 days away. Well, I mean, I guess technically 3 days away, but I count today as a day, so whatever you want to think. On the 20th, the playoffs start, and I decided today would be the best day to begin talking about the 8 matchups that we're going to watch. And I gotta say, before I talk about any of them, before I get to this board, I'm going to even step in front of it, okay? I think this playoffs is going to be the most entertaining NHL season in an entirety ever. Just the stories that are going on in the background of everything, the actual gameplay going on, the dazzling, like the superstars all playing so good, the storylines, the play itself, and now going into the playoffs, I think this is the best, most stacked playoffs we're ever going to have in NHL history. Maybe going into next, I feel like next year is going to be a little bit of a down year, as just like Matthews, like there's no way he can get to 70 goals again, right? I know he technically hasn't done it yet, but just that the fact that it would be so crazy, like there's no way all these guys redo what they did this year, right? This was such a just a maximum of NHL. And we're not going to get it again. So I want everyone, I feel like we should really not take these playoffs for granted, because they're going to be special. And the first one to talk about is the Jets versus the Avalanche. The Jets are going to have home field advantage to start the series. They end up in second place in the Central Division, and the Colorado Avalanche end up in third place. And I wrote a lot on the board, and usually I go down the list, but I'm going to start it here. I think this matchup is going to be super fun to watch, because this is going to be a angry Avalanche, especially with being the leader, Nathan MacKinnon on the team, how angry he plays. This team, after winning the Stanley Cup with the best squad ever, in my opinion, they go on and lose in the first round against a wild card team. Insane. This team, they're coming back. MacKinnon, this has been his season. He is the MVP of the NHL. And to see him, Rantanen, Makar, all trying to recreate the magic and have another successful playoff run instead of a first-round exit. And it's a shame, because as this team was so good throughout the season, they have really been cold as of late. They've been dropping the ball against a couple of teams very bad. One especially against the Winnipeg Jets as of late, losing 7-0 to them, having their Fortiev curse follow them against the Vegas Golden Knights in their 4-3 overtime comeback from 3 goals behind loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. The Avalanche are looking cold and brittle right now going into this series. And it's interesting, because this is a matchup between the number 1 team in scoring, the Avalanche, that one, and the number 1 least scored on team in the Jets. And it is a very interesting combo there, right? Because it's literally the sword versus the shield in this matchup. And to me, I'll tell you what my opinions are on that in a little bit. But right now, let's go down through each of these teams. First off, MacKinnon's year, hands out, MVP. Makar, second in defenseman points. Cale Makar, best defenseman of all time in my opinion. Just those superstars right there. Rantanen's had a little bit of not a down year, but for his sake of goal scoring, he has had a little bit of a step down, right? If he usually is on the 10th step, he's just on the 9th step this year, just a little bit cooled down than usual Moose that we're used to, right? But last year, why did the Colorado Avalanche lose to the Seattle Kraken? It was depth, and I've said it over and over and over again. If you are a consistent viewer of this channel, I'm going to say the same thing that I've said multiple times now, that the Avalanche, when MacKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar are not on the ice against the Kraken were running house. But when either of those 3 guys were out there, the Avalanche were the 10,000 times better team. And last year, they just couldn't do it. Those 3 guys alone were not able to knock out an entire team, an entire squad that was so well-rounded, and a goaltender who was not giving up anything. And they lose from horrid depth and pretty mid goaltending. Georgiev was not that guy. This season, they look at what their issue is, and they did an amazing job of fixing their problems. They bring in Jonathan Drouin, and he is paid off He's worked very well with McKinnon, getting 50 plus points this season. Casey Middlestat was an interesting acquisition at the deadline. Is he really that like Nazem Kadri, like over the top second line centerman they needed? No. But it is better than what they had last season. They get Miles Wood and Ross Colton for like some pretty good like two-way play, just kind of like more pretty good depth guys that can keep the pressure going, but nothing too special. Colton is a little bit of a special player, but not really over the line worthy, but solid to get them onto the third line. Yakov, Trenin, and I put Nichushkin here as he was out of the playoffs. I think most of the series against the Kraken. I'm pretty sure he went after game 1, was it? Or something like that. Nichushkin, he's going to be back for the whole length of the playoffs. So there is those, like, those hole fixes, those patches in the wounds that killed the Avalanche last year have been melded. Defensively, like, with just Makar and Girard and especially Devon Taves, just those guys, like, them, like, okay, let me refresh that. Makar and Taves, like, just make, like, maybe the best defensive pairing in the league. But then after that, Colorado's a little iffy. Girard, some Colorado fans I know just cannot stand the guy and wish he was sent out and much rather would have kept a guy like Bowen Byram on the team. But then, like, guys like Manson are pretty solid, and guys like Johnson are pretty, like, fine enough for the team. So overall, like, defensively, they're fine. Goaltending is still an issue, and Georgiev, given the name Fordiev as of late, is very much warranted. He's given up, I forget what the number was, but he, in the last, like, 10 games or the last 30 games or something crazy, it was like he's given up 4 goals, and that is nuts. And we saw last year against the Kraken that he just is not that goaltender. He just isn't really, he gave up a lot of weak goals, and Georgiev is a goaltender that can be a solid guy in net, just a fine, content goalie for a team that can carry the load, right, and not rely on him. But the second another team pushes back, that is when things worry, as Georgiev is not going to be the guy to bail you out, okay? And that is where I worry when they have a matchup against a team like the Winnipeg Jets. A team that is on fire right now, for one. On a 7-game winning streak. And they're not just on a normal, like, they're not, like, the winning streak doesn't consist of, like, the Blackhawks, the Ducks, the Sharks, and the Coyotes, you know? They have beaten the Avalanche. They've beaten the Golden Knights. They have beaten the Flames. They've beaten I think it was the LA Kings. Like, in there, I know the Flames not, but at least I remember 3 of the teams in this winning streak are playoff teams, and they are on fire. And not just winning those games, they've been dominating those games against them right now. Second in the Central, and this team is just buzzing. And this season against the Avalanche, they're 3-0. And I'm not usually the biggest advocate for looking at season series to judge an actual playoff matchup, especially when you have a team like the Avalanche with McKinnon and Makar on it. It's hard to judge like a single game, especially when those games are so spread apart, right? But it is kind of telling that as of late, the Avalanche have been pretty cold, and a part of the Jets series just less than a week ago now, they beat them 7-0. I think that's pretty telling, and I did see Spit and Chicklets, they were talking about it, and one thing to mention too is the Avalanche at home, 39-1, which I think is the best home record this season, right? But away, they're 16-19 and something, and that is abysmal, and the Winnipeg Jets have been good at home, they're fine on the road, and that makes me worried because Jets are going to start they're going to start at home after this incredible season. The whiteout in Winnipeg, one of the loudest crowds in the league for the Winnipeg Jets. Bell Center is going to be buzzing with those fans in there. Those guys, Scheifele, are going to hit the ice. You're going to get onto the ice. Connor Hellebuck, Morrissey, and Pionk. Kyle Connor's going to get out there. The team's depth just throughout this lineup is incredible, okay? And that is one of my biggest things for them, is it's the depth once again. Because for me, judging every single win of the winners in the past years, right? Look at what it takes for either the winners or finalists or just to do good in the playoffs. You need good goaltending that can carry you, like a Bobrovsky, like an Aiden Hill, or Laurent Brossoit, right? One of those, like a goaltender who can just hold down the fort so good. They have Connor Hellebuck. You need defense that is maybe not like the most shut down in the world, but just at least competent. The Jets definitely have that being first in goals against. You need a good, solid offensive depth that you can keep rolling the lines, keep pressure going. You need guys to neutralize the other top players of the other team with your defense. They can do that. They have those type of shutdown guys, especially that third line on the Jets. And for the top line, you need to have top goal scorers, consistent goal scorers, right? And that is my one scare with the Winnipeg Jets. Because sure, guys like Kyle Connor, the Winnipeg Jets definitely do have a few guys in the lineup that are higher up in points, but they don't have like guys like Kyle Connor, right? They don't really have a true superstar on the team. Like superstar goal scorer, Kyle Connor, sure, fine. But Scheifele, there's no one that I really look to, and that's where I worry about them, like I worry about the Hurricanes, where they have all the pieces except a guy like Matthew Tkachuk, a guy like Jonathan Marchessault, a guy like Jack Eichel and Mark Stone, where they can be consistent and they keep scoring goals, and you can look to them to get those goals in overtime. And that's where I look to the Jets in recent years, and I worry. Because a team like the Avalanche that do have, especially a guy like McKinnon, and I know I keep saying that, but just look at what McKinnon has done against the Blues, what he's done single-handedly to keep this team afloat in recent series, right? Unreal what a guy like McKinnon can change in just one game, and this being his season, what he can do in a whole series. Can the Avalanche overcome the depth of the Blues and guys like McKinnon keep scoring goals and the depth just be solid enough to keep neutralizing, at least keep competitive play against the Jets, right? And that's where I'm going to really worry about this team is there's a lot of question marks with the Jets, right? Because when it comes to defense, that is a little bit more questionable, especially in today's NHL when it's a lot more goal scoring, a lot more putting points on the board. And to me, the Avs are definitely, being number one in goals in the league this year, have that under their belt. And the question mark is, can the Jets contain McKinnon enough? Can they contain McKinnon enough and keep points on the board going the other way? And for me, I really do think so. Because we've seen in the past against the Avalanche and against other teams in recent playoffs that amazing goaltending and good defense and solid depth wins over top stars. And take a look at the Avalanche. The Toronto Maple Leafs year and year over and over again. That got just having a handful of top stars in the league do not just win you series. Not even barely the Stanley Cup. And to me, it seems like perfect timing for, once again, another first-round exit for the previous Stanley Cup champion, the Colorado Avalanche. I think the Winnipeg Jets are going to win this series, and I think it will be... I don't think this one goes far. Because I don't think this will be because the Kraken, really had the fight to knock them out, right? And they were not even close, I would say even close to being on par where the Jets are this season. The Jets are going to win this series, I would say 4-1. I think it goes to Game 5 and they win it back home in Winnipeg. That is my prediction for this series. I think Hellebuck is going to hold down the fort, and guys like McKinnon will struggle as they will just keep putting their top guys out there. They'll get out Adam Lowry. They'll put out their good defense onto the ice to shut down and hit those blocks against a guy like Nathan McKinnon, and then get Kyle Connor on the ice when they roll out guys like Miles Wood, and Connor can speed past them, and Georgiev playing, and we've seen those type of games where it's just simple shots. Georgiev is just so poor when it comes to just just simple goals. It's not just he doesn't get those big time saves. It's just those okay, I'm over here. Oh, great. It's just those simple ones where you just got to make the save and they get past them. When they have sharpshooters like Connor on the team and a couple good shots on the team as well. That's where I worry. So to me, it goes to Game 5, and Winnipeg wins this series in the first round. So that is all I got to say. So I'm sure you're going to disagree with me or you're going to love me. So tell me down below what you think, and while you're at it, please just subscribe. Please. And until next time, too sweet, have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.